Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to KCG, first time of 2023, and we go racing at Laguna Seca for a 2-hour race, and I am super excited for this. It's a very decent grid. We have a lot of great drivers, a lot of great names, also some very special names which we will see later. As I said, the first race of 2023, we haven't done something this year so far, for some various reasons, but now we are back, and I can already tell you, I can show you this stream what will come next, and this might also be a very nice event. I'm sure it will be. So, yeah, look forward to this. You will see a teaser later this stream, and I'll also talk about it a bit. But first, I will turn on the music a bit more because apparently it's pretty loud. And hello to everyone watching. But first, we will have this race. It's a 200-mile race, which equates to around 2 hours of racing, which is laps though. So we will drive a set amount of laps, which is 89 laps plus 1, because you will have the typical manual in lap, which we feature in KCG for those one-off events. It's a longer time now. So in total a 90 lap race with normal qualifying, which we will come to in 10 minutes. And we have a pretty packed grid at 20 drivers so far, I think. Basically currently on the server we have even 10 and 10. That's pretty good. So that's for the important infos. Open setup, normal degradation and stuff. That's all the things we're already used to. And I think we should get to the drivers, because we have some very interesting names on the grid. And let's start by the one we are currently watching, Paul Olo. He was, I think, the last one to join, but still, I think, very well-known driver at this point, especially from the ranked races. Drives in Ferrari, which is also driven by 2 others on the grid. And very experienced, very good in GT cars. And I'm very excited to see him race. I've raced him the last days quite a few times in Daytona, also with GT3s. And yeah, very decent at attacking, very decent at defending, and a very good pace. And I need to give some information. Just a second. It's a bit of the drawback if you are commentating alone. Can't just give advice to someone and in the meantime commentate. But yeah, very good driver. But also Thorsten Leber, he was featured the first time in KCG in the 2.4 hour of Road America, which is quite a far time back, but yeah, very decent driver. Really made a name for himself in the meantime. Was also a driver in the ranked championships and competitions. And maybe not the fastest all the time, but he is very good at racing. And also driving the Porsche, which is, yeah, maybe not the favorite, but with the BOP we have in place, which is a custom BOP for KCG, it should be well in contention for good results. We have a few Porsches on the grid, a few needed to drop out because of other reasons, but we still have, I think, 3 Porsches that should take the start. One of them, as said, is Thorsten Leber. Another one, who's currently in the pits, is Lukas Wollering. Also, I think the first time he is in KCG, if I remember correctly. But, I mean, he's from Ballas Esports, so I think everyone knows what we could expect from him. So very great to have him here. As well as his mate Birger Maisman, also from Bellas Esports, also currently in the pits, drives the Ferrari, which is not as nerfed as in ranked, I'd say, because of the other cars BOP. But could still be a good contender. Said also about Bellas Esports. And do we have the third Bellas Esports driver on the grid already? No, not so far, because we also have somebody who's coming back, who is Frank van Roon, obviously one of the drivers who made all the seasons, at least, of KCG. From the very first race in Season 1 back in 2021, right until Season 4 or mini-season, Season 3, which was Formula 3s. So we can expect him. But let's move on to one of the McLarens. And you can see both in this shot, but yeah, Colin Blankenburg, I think much like Paul Oro, not much to say about him, except he's a very decent driver who you basically know from rank competition. Had some very great fights, even with Max Pfeiffer at some point. But yeah, great driver. Drives the McLaren, which is kind of the underdog, I think, usually in competition. As I said, we have the custom MVP, so should have a better chance. But it will be very interesting how this plays out. And the same goes for Yuval Rosen. I think those two will be ones to at least set the pace in qualifying. But also maybe fight it out between two of them, because they are both very experienced, both very fast. I think they also had some good fights in the NGK Sparkplug Challenge, if I remember correctly. So this will be very interesting. But also further down the grid, Ivan Lukic, one of the other Ferrari drivers, also new to KCG. And yeah, let's see how he does. Looked very promising from what I've seen. I obviously always take a look at the profiles. But yeah, as said, one of the newcomers. Welcome to KCG. No, Berger Meisman is also driving out of the bits. And who's also on track, which we see right in front, Mike Bartman. And let's just throw him in as well, because they basically belong together. Dirk Pfeiffer. These two, I mean, if you see two Bentleys close to each other behind you on the Nordschleife, you basically know you will get past. And Frank von uns seems to have some issues with Steam. So we can sort that out. But yeah, those two. Very good drivers, very fast, and very good at team play. I mean, you can also see they have the same livery with different numbers on it. So it's very promising, and I can't wait to see what they do on track. We've also got another one of the fast guys who but he drives everything, to be fair. Not just ranked racing, but mainly different communities he's racing in. David Kulas, meantime an absolute motorsport driver, it seems like. Yeah, sometimes a bit erratic, but still very fast, very skilled. And curious to see what he can do this time. He's been in KCG a few times. I think in mini season 1, at the Lausitz swing, he claimed his first podium as well, against big competition, like the Mackenbergs, which we'll come to a bit later as well. We also had some eSport drivers in that season. And it seems like Steam has some issues, so how we can get that sorted out, because in 3 minutes it's quali time. And obviously we don't want anyone to miss the race because of issues with Steam. Okay, it seems like Gaspar Miss could fix his problems. Let's hope Frank von Roon can also fix it. So we also have another newcomer, which it won't show right now. which is Dave Ziska in the BMW, the lone BMW so far on the grid, but also new to KCG. And curious to see what he can do on the track. Marcus Tador in the Renault, one of the GT3s guys, some great friends of the KCG communities. Very fast, he's been in very good contention. Oh, and Mr. Minimi, who also would drive the Renault, seems to have issues with Steam as well. So I need to manage something. Great. So yeah, those two very fast in very different tracks and also good in TCRs. I learned that when I joined the TCR race they had for the VLN season. So yeah, it's a bit of a bummer that we have issues. We also had a game update right before. So we have qualifying in just a few moments. This works. Also, Gaspar Miss is now in the server, in the third Porsche. Should have seen Frankfurt is releasing the game. So sorry for the delays and stuff, we just need to figure out that problem with Steam. Steam sometimes is a bit of a Mac program. But we will get to the rest of the drivers in the race, it's just too much to talk about right now. Or through qualifying, we will have a lot of qualifying runs. So that will be very interesting. And going through chat, hello Veseginosh, good to have you here. Hello to Burger, good luck for the race. As well as Rossi, or Italian Jojo. And yeah, it's weird to see Colin not in the Mercedes, but the McLaren seems to be quite strong, as said by you. He convinced him, but it might actually be very strong. But I think it's a bit of the advantage the underdog car usually has. I always thought the Maka was not too bad actually, like I drove it. So yeah, let's see while they go out for their outlaps in the qualifying. And also welcome Marvin, he's also hyped for this event. I'm super hyped for it. Dick Pfeiffer, I think, let me just check, is he streaming? He indeed is streaming this race, so if you want to check out some POVs, you can check out Dirk Pfeiffer's Twitch. Send in the chat below. I'm sure you will see some action now. And also, oh no, I want to talk about the whole time, but I just ran out of time. Lewis, like fucking Glade, joined the grid, and I'm super hyped he did. Needed quite some convincing to do, I think, but it's so great to have him on track, and for once I'm the one commentating on him, not the other way around. And yeah, great to have him here as well. I think many people wouldn't have thought that when he started KCG. I mean, he said himself he's a person like any other, but still kind of special to see what kind of different drivers we have. We have the esport pros like Marvin, Sven, this is the wrong way around. Anyway, we've got Lucas following, Frank von Rohn, who luckily could make the server, but also then like the people you hear on the live streams. Lewis McLeod. Cameron Rogers also originally wanted to join in the booth, but unfortunately he can't today. But still would have had him as well. So it's just great to have that variety of drivers and that amount of drivers. We had 23 cars on the track right now. So that's very great. But let's take a look at the track while the people drive their first laps. We have 22 minutes of qualifying left, so there's a lot of time for that. So let's take a look at it. That is the wrong button I pressed, I'm sorry. It is this one. So, Laguna Seca, located in California in the US. We have flat out turn 1 into the hard braking zone of the Andretti hairpin, which is basically a double apex corner where you want to accelerate as early as possible onto the small back stretch into turn 3, which is very flat but still very tricky to get a good exit off, where you drive below the tire bridge and then through turn 4. Now in turn 4 it's important to not hit the curb on the entry, on the apex of the turn, because this will completely ruin your suspension if hit wrong. Then turn 5, it starts going uphill. Very fast corner, you can take a lot of speed through it. Into the 6th turn, which is, I think, very notorious for the curb on the inside. If you hit that, you go straight on the gravel and basically, yeah, have your suspension with a 180-second repairable. And then turn 7, turn 8, corkscrew, the most iconic part of this track, of course. Downhill left and right hander into turn 9, which is also very long left hander with a lot of camber. Important to keep speed. And turn 10, again very flat, but also can carry a lot of speed through it. But turn 11, which is the last turn, it has a hard braking zone. It's a bit hard to accelerate out of in, for example, GT3s without losing traction on the rear. But this rewards you for the long straight, which leads you back into turn 1 and 2. That's a lap around Laguna Seca. And we'll also take a look at it on the onboard. And unfortunately, Mr. Minimi can't take the start because of problems with the game and with Steam, which is very unfortunate. So, yeah, now down into turn 2, which is Andretti hairpin. Let's go on board with Yuval Rosen. Maybe this on board. And then, as said, pretty flat. Shouldn't hit too much curb on the inside, especially not that yellow sausage curb. And then here, you have a high sausage curb, which looks like the other one, but it's quite a bit higher. And this can ruin your suspension. I think in TCRs it will also cause you to drive on 2 wheels, because the cars are just dead light and stiff. And then this uphill where you can take a lot of speed through the last turn. And now this left-hander, you really dive into it, but if you are too far on the inside, and here he resets to the pits. Let's see who's following is on a run. So now up the hill, we are behind David Kulas right now. And here you can brake late because you have that camber to the inside. Lucas Rolling does it perfectly, lets the car slide through the turn, get a good exit. And then you go further and further uphill for the hard braking zone over the crest into the corkscrew, where you can take a lot of curb, shout it, invalidating your lap time. And then you have this long left-hander, clip the apex, let it slide out, come back for the next right-hander. Oh, and Lucas Following has to catch the car there. but well done by him into this hard braking zone. And this corner goes on for longer than you might expect. You can't accelerate that early as you might think sometimes. But that's one lap around Laguna Seca. A lap with very different elements and yeah, a lot of variation in it, which makes this track very great for both GT3 and TCR. And let's see, we should have our first laps in. And it's currently Yuval Rosen 1 second ahead of Colin Blankenburg. But it's also, you should take into account the traffic, cold tires, only still 18 minutes. So those times aren't that representative. We also have some incidents on the track. But so far it looks like everything is going fine. Let's look at the TCRs. Magma currently leading the field in the Cupra, closely followed by Sven Magdenberg with what is it? 131.07 and 131.25 respectively. And time after time, this will all sound it out. And the game has no sound apparently. Oh, now it should. It's been a long time since I've done that, so I'm sorry if I do mistakes on stream. That's a bit prone to happen. You do have to manage a lot more things when broadcasting a race and should just stream. Gotta admit that. But now everything should have sound. And currently we have quite a good mix behind the McLarens. With Ferrari, Mercedes, Porsche, Ferrari, BMW, Ferrari. But I think the two vendors of J5 and Mike Bartman will come closer, or at least gain a few positions if I want to. I mean, they are also quite notorious for their strategy of starting from the back. And we still have 4 drivers that haven't had set a lap time. One of them is Dominik Ziska, who now set a lap time. Frank von Roon is now driving out of the pits. He also has to set a lap time yet. Thorsten Leber and Benjamin Albrecht, who is also still standing in the pits, which is valid. We have a lot of time still, and you want to have a clean road ahead of you. And the stuttering of the camera is from the game. I guess I've restarted the computer right before the race, but didn't really fix it. But so far everything seemed to go fine with the server itself. BMW video is in the making. I'm still waiting for a certain person who might watch the stream, I don't know. But that's a bit out of my control at the moment. So there's VW of the track, that's Marcel Löcken. Oh, and there you can see on the front left that the wheel is facing towards the right while he's steering left. So that's the damage you get when you hit the curb in turn 6. So, yeah, I don't think that's damage you want to continue with. Probably just trying to limit back to the pits and repair to get a feel for that. Which is valid in such a long race to do, to try that if you should damage your car like that. But yeah, great to have him here. I think one of the OGs in the race room. Also been part of KCG for a long time, been driving GT1 series for a long time. So great to see him back. Let's go on board with Frank von Roon. And that was my connection. Well, my connection just decided to just die for a moment. I hope this gets better now again. Sometimes It just struggles while streaming. It's a bit of a bummer. But seems to be good now. So Frank von Roon been passed by the Ferrari of, who is it, Bürger Meismann, of the same team of course. But let's see what he can do on his first outlap. Obviously being held up by traffic a bit, but may be still a good comparison. That's Dominik Ziska, also one of the new people to KCG, and Frank von Roon comes across the line to take fourth from Lewis McGlade, who actually has set a pretty decent lap time for saying or complaining that he will be not good at this track or in this race. In the meantime, Yuval Rosen and Colin Blankenburg settled into first and second. Yuval Rosen so far the only one to go below 123, the 122.78. So McLaren seems to be at least very fast. Don't know how it looks in the long run with them so far, which is kind of a surprise, to be honest. Because from the data I had to put together BOP, and as well with a few helping hands I had, didn't really see the McLaren as a threat. But setup does change a lot on this car. Meanwhile, Thorsten Leber also set a lap time and put himself into 6th position. So now the only one without a time is Benjamin Albrecht, who you might know from the GT3s and Intercontinental Series, and also a very decent driver. Sometimes struggles a bit with consistency, but I think he has it in it. It's also the only Audi R8 we have on the grid today, which doesn't surprise me really, considering the fuel usage of that car. But it is fast. It can do a lot of stuff with it. Comes across the line. It's 126, currently 12. Gaspar Miss in the Porsche on P7. Currently have all 3 Porsches right behind each other from 5th to 7th. Use space to the cars in front for his next lap. And we still have 10 minutes to go. Max Stadon braking really late. Really going completely straight through the corkscrew. But you can see how steep it is downhill there. Don't really feel the downhill in game while driving. Because, well, it's a game, not real life. But when you just look at it, it's really steep. So Golf standing, that should be my Saarbrücken. And that was my knee. So I'm just trying to find some comparison numbers. So far everything seems to go very good. Everyone kind of settled in their spot on track, so they don't intercept each other much. We also plan on changing the system a little bit for not the next, but the event after. Oh, and too far off the curving there. Kinda kept it in place. This is the updated version of R3 Reality. That's kind of... It lacks some different overlays, but indeed it has great features. Like, for example, if you watch a stream and you are in KCG yet, you can scan this VR code at the bottom right of your screen, and it will take you directly to the KCG Discord where we will manage anything. You won't need to sign up for any site or register via any site for the events. It's all done via Discord. So you can just scan in the code, join, and have fun. And while we're at it, for those who don't know, maybe, I'm Lino, I'm your co-host for today, and the voice of the stream, even though it might not be as good as a Lewis McGlade, a Cameron Rogers. But we do have cool features on it. In the meantime, Sven Mackenberg has taken the top spot in TCR with the 131.012. Let's see if one of them can go below 131, even though it will be pretty hard. And of course, Lewis McGlade is in the split. There he is in the Civic. He actually wanted me to choose the car, and I mean, I recently bought a Civic, so I had to choose the Civic. And for the color, I just asked him, and chose the matching Z Challenger, which looks very good. It's one of the 2 Z Challenger cars we have. The other one is driven by Dominic Ziska, pink one, which also contemplates very well to the blue. And while the Cooper we just saw doing a burnout out of the pits is Mateusz Friedrich, which we haven't talked about yet, I think. Also someone, I think, who's pretty underrated. And Dennis, obviously, getting the honor of being punted by Lewis McGlade himself in Assetto Corsa. But this isn't Assetto Corsa. This is different. Mainly because Dennis isn't taking part in this race today, unfortunately. But anyway. Yeah, Mateusz Friedrich, he joined us in Season 3 with the Formula 3s and even got a podium there at Assen, if I recall that correctly. I mean, we can take a look at his profile. And indeed, in round 9 in Assen, he got P3. Which was... I think a race that really evened out the playing field for a lot, because it was a new track at that point, or a pretty new track, and nobody's really driven it. And even though Season 3 didn't have the most attention, it still had decent names in it. So Mackenbergs, for example. Ivar Rosen also took part in the first races. So we had good competition there still to go against, but Assen really surprised in that regard. Also Florian Arendt winning both races, winning the doubleheader, who unfortunately can't take part in this race today because of his kneecaps still not being in place. So let's hope we can see him someday in the future again. And then it's just too tired, which is a fair point. So yeah, things of getting close to people, getting settled in their positions, and just trying to get some practice for the longer ones. Frank von Ohren, in the meantime, got into P3, which might be very interesting positions in both GT3 and TCR, because P3 starts right behind P1, which gives you kind of the chance to react to the cars in front better, even though the TCRs will have to react with the GT3s. So That would be very interesting. Rosen there getting past Sven Mackenberg. No, actually, I think everyone joined. Except, of course, Mr. Minimi, who was about to drive, and then we had the Steam issue, and now his game has quite a few problems. So for him it was already tight, but I know, and basically for him it was a faulty game, so he couldn't do much. And I think Adam Komorowski is also missing so far, who also took part in the World America race and had a very decent race there. So unfortunately he isn't here right now. But we still have 23 cars on the grid. I think that's more than in a long time. I think the last time we had 23 wasn't it season 2 opener? Webstream. Yeah, I just hope the stream doesn't keep crashing all the time. It's so weird sometimes. Yeah, it's also very annoying for broadcasting anything or just streaming in that regard. But I mean, what do you want to do? Move out? Which money? But anyway, only 2 minutes remaining, so people will drive their last laps now. Pololo getting past the Peugeot of Jake Wilson, also new to KCG. I think he signed up for a race but couldn't attend. Gone right there in the Peugeot though, so that's a plus. And another rookie in the third Civic, Kuba Chuik. I hope I pronounced that correct. Very curious to see how he does. And the important thing, obviously, in a 2-hour race, pace isn't everything. Important thing is to finish, at least have minimal damage. So this will be very interesting. Gaspamis might be able to finish this lap as well. Doesn't seem to be on a fast lap though, plus 1.8 in the first sector. So the mid-pack seems to be very tight. We have between Paul Olaru and Ivan Lukic, we've got roughly a second. Gaspar missed this. Sorry. Sitze. Okay, thanks Feltert. I think Feltert knows it better than me because he's also from Poland. I'll try. It's very hard with different names. So I hope nobody is mad if I mispronounce something. But we've got Yuval Rosen on pole, Colin Blankenburg in second, and David Kulas in third. And for the TCRs, we've got Marvin Mackenberg on pole, in front of Sven Mackenberg and Frank van Roon, followed by Marcus Shadron. So I think this will be very interesting, especially in the start of the race, because we have two stacked grids, let's say. Seats here. But I tried to say it like you spell. Anyway, I will try to get it right. But now we have warm up. Drivers can get a little rest before the race starts. And in the meantime, I will show you what comes next. And I hope this might be something you enjoy. That's right. And enable audio again. Next race will be in June, and we will go to Silverstone. We will have another multi-class race. I think that Laguna Seca already showed that this might not be a bad idea to give people more freedom of choice. And it will be again in the 2-hour region, the multi-class of Pragas and GT4s. And I'm very much looking forward to this as well. It's different than Laguna Seca, it's much more open, it's wider. But at the same time the cars are a bit smaller, but the difference is, it's not the same as GT3 TCR. The Praga is a different kind of car to compete against. We have the obvious touring car with the GT4, our Grand Tourer. And this prototype thing with not as much power, but a lot of downforce. So that would be interesting. And 350 is 350 kilometers, not laps. That would be a bit outrageous. 350 kilometers. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I tried to go with the theme this time, so British Racing Green and Britain, you know. It's a bit different than just the track and a distance number. Yeah, I also thought, let's get Jimmy Baldwin into this. I mean, he raced in Race and won the rank combos in some leagues, as far as I know. Against some people we also know from KCG. But to be fair, I have my doubts about it, but it would be awesome. Now, to be honest, I think you would find some good competition. In the meantime, also people practicing pit stops, which will be very crucial to this race. Thought it's about, well, not quite. I mean, it would be a convincing name, you know, but on the other hand, I don't think you should connect the one thing with racing. But yeah, you do you. But I'm very excited for this. I want to keep a momentum going in KCG now. Try to see what happens if there's demand, as it seems with the Laguna Seca now. There definitely is demand for it. Because I really missed it over the time where we hadn't it, even though I was a bit burnt out. And I don't want to do real seasons. Maybe, just maybe if this works, a cup of like 3 races. Yeah, that's why green is also legal here. But they wanted back down on it, didn't they? But I wanted to keep a momentum going, do some one-offs, not too close to each other, but also not with too much time in between, if that makes sense. And yeah, just being able then to do some nice combinations. I also have something planned for all those enthusiasts about old GT3s. I have something in plan for that. And yeah, I think, I mean, it sounds a bit cocky maybe, but I think KCG really has something special to it. So yeah, it's great to have it back, and I think a lot of people also wanted to have it back. I mean, we see people who raced with us in season 1, like Frank von Rowan, Marvin, and Sven Mattenberg. So that's great that they are also still here. And also welcome Sarah to the stream. And the new BOP in GT4 felt quite good when I drove it at Imola. So I mean, I was very bad at driving it myself, but I kind of thought the BOP was good. Yeah, I mean, the Alpina is quite bad, but I think there are a lot of good cars in old GT3 class. But now we get onto the grid for the race, and this will be around 2 hours. 89 plus 1 laps for the GT3s. The TCRs will obviously be lapped in between, so they will drive a few laps less. But this will be very interesting for their strategy, and we will talk about TCR strategy later in the stream, because it will influence this race hugely. Marvin got me some infos about it as well. And this will be very interesting, I can already tell you that. It's not as straightforward as GT3s. And there we go. Got 5 lights, but obviously the race won't start right now, because we will join in the formation lap. And there you are, Rosen drives up. And one after another starts going. And the timing is a bit bugged now, but it should clear out during the lap. And this manual lap has even quite a few advantages to the drivers themselves, because normally when you race, and we assume you start on cold tires, cold brakes, don't get anything up to temperature, but with this manual in-lap you really can heat up the tires to a degree that's workable, and you can heat up the brakes in the formation grid later, and this has a huge influence on braking performance into turn and can make the difference whether you can make a move into turn 1, into turn 2. So I think this really adds a lot, not just that it looks cool and makes the starts a bit more interesting. So I think that by adding this, we really made a good choice in mini season 1, where we tested it the first time and we kind of refined that. So very much looking forward to this. Now going through the corkscrew. Colin Blankenburg collecting slow and penalty, but that's not the problem. I mean, we don't have incident points here, and invalidating your first lap is kind of good for the fuel calculator and stuff, because it doesn't work with faulty data. It's a normal thing you also find in GT3s and they do that just to prevent some faulty data. And now everyone gets into formation. P1 starts on the outside. TCR still trying to go into formations, maybe a bit fast for them. And we go racing, and it's Colin Blankenburg leading the way. David Kulas was able to hang on to it, and some just won't let me go into the normal cam again. But David Kulas still into P3, so Colin was able to keep it in front. But it's Yuval Rosen leading. In the TCR class we still have Marvin Mackenberg leading, but it's Frank von Rohen who got the better start than Sven Mackenberg. And it seems like everyone made it through. Seems like there's no collision between anyone. And it's Yuval Rosen leading up the hill now through the tricky left-hander of turn 6. Colin Blankenburg going a bit wider there. Paul Olo is still leading in front of the 3 Porsches in P4. Why not Twitch? Because this is YouTube only so far. But hello Doma, welcome to the stream. Mike Bartman mained in P8, and Dick Pfeiffer just looking from behind, started last. For a reason, I guess. And first lap is done. And Marvin Mackenberg, as said, leading the TCR class. And it seems like not much has changed in the TCR class. We've still got Shadow in 4th, Lewis McLeod in 5th, followed by the Peugeot of Jake Wilson. It's unfortunate, but that's your decision. And so far it seems like the top 3 can, at least the 2 McLarens can pull a bit of a gap. David Kulas is under pressure from Paul Olaro too, so who has now looked down the inside, backs out of it though. There's no need for for some weird moves now. And we will find some slowdown penalties, but it's just slowdown penalties. We don't have incident points because all the incidents that happen... Oh, and that cooler's getting way loose there. All the incidents that happen will be reviewed after the race. Oh, and now down the inside. There's contact between the jump and both spin out. Pololo launching it down the inside, and that was a good recovery by both, but just too eager on the gap, I think. I will obviously look at that after the race. Hard to tell from the angle. Looked like he went in too deep. Collected David Kulas, who was way down the outside, so not much he could do. But that promotes Lukas Wollering and Thorsten Leber into P3 and P4 right now. For the prizes, top 3 in each class will get VIP, and then 1 will draw on random afterwards. Thorsten Leber really is able to keep up with Lukas Wollering here. Meanwhile, Dirk Pfeiffer already made up one spot. And you can see the GT3 grid is still pretty close to each other. The TCR grid has spread out a bit. So Mackenberg and Frank von Wong close to each other, but behind that, Chadron 1 second, Lewis McLean nearly 2 seconds. But with Jake Wilson right behind him. But it will get interesting once the lappings take place, that's for sure. Now is Jake Wilson close enough to launch on the track? Yeah, Fluff is my number 1 hater, that's true. Of course, Dommel is not... Anyway. I mean, not that I really need it at the moment, but we can talk about it later, I guess. I have to focus on the race now. So, David Kulas and Pololo are still right behind each other. But real business move by you there. Colin Blackmuck is also getting closer to Ivar Rosen. Even though it's a bit sporadic. Now having a look down the outside, David Kulas defending to the inside, braking late. But not able to quite pull off the switchback. Knocking on the door, but that's fine. Oh, but this time Pololo to the inside, but backs out of it. That would have been nasty if he would try to stick his nose into that corner. And I don't even have a $20 mouse if you consider the keyboard and the mouse together were 30, but still works. Further down, Solotny seems to have had some sort of problem. See if I can find something went off track. It's not for him. He's trying to get past Kuba Kchui. Hope this was good this time. And Dick Pfeiffer now right behind Berger Maceman in the Ferrari. Slowly catching up. Dave Ziska in front of the train. Oh, Marcelo right behind. No, Ziska, Jack Wilson also close behind Mateusz Friedrich. That means Mateusz Friedrich got past Jake Wilson in the first place. Oh, Matoshfish breaking late. Maybe he can have a 1 through turn 9. Will be hard, but is possible. Now carrying more speed through the exit. I think the straight is not long enough for him. Yeah, I know. Oh, and Dick Pfeiffer. What happened there? Spun out. Was it a collision? Seems to have been a collision with Burger Meisman because he's also stationary there. Not sure what happened there. Mike Bartman also. But he didn't seem to be in a collision. So let me stay having a look. And now a small train forming here. Oh, Benjamin Albrecht and Siska. Oh, a lot of contact. Bit forceful maybe with Benjamin Albrecht. Oh, loses the rear. Catches it though. And then there's the Ferrari of Paul Olaru. Was spun one. And didn't seem to be in a collision. Just was stationary. Benjamin Albrecht keeps them in front for now. But there's a lot that happens right now. There's this guy having a look. And I was weaving quite aggressively. On this distance, not the most problematic thing, even though shouldn't. Oh, Paulo really having the look around the inside again. Meanwhile, Sven Mackenberg also inching closer and closer to Frank van Roon. Oh, and that's Benjamin Albrecht. He spun out. I think he just got audited there. So we just looked like it came around. There was no collision. I think it was Dick Pfeiffer who had to take some evasive action there. Oh, and Thorsten Leber going against Lukas Vollering up the hill. Into the corkscrew, down the inside. Can Lukas Vollering counter attack? No, Thorsten Leber shuts the door. Well executed move there. And Thorsten Leber really has a lot of pace here. Marcel Lacken still trying to find a way past Dominik Cziska. And in the meantime, I completely missed Sven Mackenberg got past Frank van Roon, but he is having a look to counter attack. He seems to be a bit faster on slipstream than Sven Mackenberg was on slipstream. Having a look down every corner, but I think those two, they really know each other from the esport races, also from KCG, of course, from ranked races. They are not racing each other for the first time and also not in that machinery. But let's see, where are the leaders? Yuval Rosen now approaching corkscrew. The last TCR, which is currently Marcel Lacken, out of turn 9, so they will soon catch up to them. And Frank van Roon having a look down the inside, it's close with the wall. Oh, and we have David Kulas spun out in turn 5, I think that is. But let's go back to Frank van Roon. They are side by side. Bit of contact, that's okay in the TCR. And beautiful move down the inside. Well executed to regain second position here. Sven Mackenberg will probably have a look again next lap. So those two very, very well matched. Oh, and in the meantime, because Vollering got past Thorsten Leber again, it's so much happening and back and forth. For a 2-hour race, that's a lot of action. And now, look at who's back at it again. Paul Olaru and David Kulas. Now into turn 1. But Paul Olaru has the better one now down the inside. Alongside, brakes late, I think a tiny bit later, but the Ferrari has better braking than the Mercedes. And this time, good move down the inside, no contact made. And I think we need to go through the order anytime soon. Oh, and now it's happening. Yuval Rosen going through the TCR. Oh, that's Friedrich, I think. One McLaren in no man's land of TCRs. Now Colin has to go through all of this again. Friedrich stationary alongside side track. Maybe he also collect. Yeah, look at that front left wheel. He collected a lot of damage. he probably hit that curb. Oh, and Colin Blankenburg going off the road there. And thank you, Domo, appreciate that. Might be in voice chat later as well. If I have energy left. It's my Tosh Friedrich coming into pits. And Frank von Rohn back at it again with Sven Wackenberg. Side by side 2003. Ah, this is so much action. Now side by side 2-4. And Sven has to go off-road, but that's not a problem. And look at this fight of 3 as well. Schuska, Kurik, and Löcken. And Mike Bartman has seemed to have lost connection. That's very unfortunate. But Frank von Rohn into second now. Vollering and Leber now getting closer to the TCR train. Ivan Lukic also moved up into 6th place with all that happened. Gaspar missed in front of him in P5. So these two having a good race so far. So you can really see what the difference is between just being fast and consistent. Thorsten Leber not trying to go for anything, just letting Lukas Vollering find the path through first. It's Marcel Löcken. Now safely down the inside. Oh, goes off a bit wide. Can be very nasty at that turn because you need to come back for the right-hander. You can't in that moment. And now down the inside of the Civic. And now look at Lukic and Miss. And there seems to be quite a few position swaps. We have the Civic side by side. Marcel Löcken right behind in the slipstream. And Germany in 10 strikes again. Yeah, I'm sorry for those legs. I can't do anything about them, unfortunately. And having a look down the inside, hard braking. Braking is really the key element in those cars. Oh, and Ivan Lukic also very close to Gaspar Mist. And we are back. I'm sorry for it's so always in the key moments as well. Which is really a bummer. Seems like Gaspar Mist could defend through the inside of 3. And unfortunately all the cars are damaged. I think I might rejoin the server in just a short moment. Because I mean, why should we look at this for the whole race? Yeah, I should make a video series out of that. It's a pretty good idea. But Paul Olo in all of this made up big amount of time right behind Ivan Lukic and Gaspar Mist now. Oh, and miscommunication between Gaspar Mist and the Civic of Schult, yeah? And David Kulas also having a disconnect. So those two, already two with internet difficulties. That's Mateusz Friedrich coming out of the pits after his repair work. And Lukic trying to find his way around Schuska, as well as Paul Olo. Maybe he opens the door for Marcel Löcken, but he isn't quite close enough. But so far, Frank von Rohn still second in front of Mark with a bit of a gap now. So, I don't know. I think Marcel Löcken is still behind Civic there. I think I will try to rejoin the server real quick. Meanwhile, you can watch at this track map of Laguna Seca. It's yeah, it's just unfortunate to have those. That's also why I always had problems streaming racing. I tried streaming the GT3s race once and it worked then, but yeah, also came with its issues. So let's fast forward this. Look at this production value. Yeah, correct. So what have we missed? What happened in between? Just give it a second to let all the cars and all the data load in. Because some things aren't quite right so far. So this needs a lap sometimes. Still Ivar Rosen in front of Colin Blankenburg. So now it's just messing with me. It's not even funny anymore. It's like, you know what? Just live with it for now. Maybe try again later. But I think everything has so far cleared up now. So we have Ivar Rosen and Colin Blankenburg leading the pack by now 11 seconds. Might be down to the car, to a certain extent at least. But they are not too far off each other. So I still don't know whether they get close to each other or not, especially with traffic. But Lucas Vollering, who really made up a lot of places, says +10. I don't think he started 13th, if I can recall that correctly. But he is in 3rd. Right behind him is Thorsten Leber in the other Porsche, and in 3rd Porsche Gaspar Miss in 5th with quite a big gap to the cars in front of 13 seconds. Still 5th place from where he started. It's very good. Then we have Ivan Lukic, who so far is a very solid race. And Paulo Lowe, obviously having that collision with David Kulas, threw him back quite far in 7th. But I think therefore still much to play for. Then we have Dave Siska, who so far seems to have a pretty decent race. Not much going on, but also not. Yeah, sometimes not much going on is pretty good for you because you just can drive in your rhythm. Try to not make any mistakes. Oh, and it gets close between Sam Mark and Frank von Roon. But in GT1, we have Dirk Pfeiffer, who after the collision with Birger Meismann, I think it was. Yeah. And Benjamin Albrecht so far in the last driving GT3. Marvin Markenberg leading the TCR category. Now Sam Markenberg and Frank von Roon have the traffic of 3 GT3s, Gaspar Miss and the Ferraris trying to come by. Oh, and Ivan Lukic having a very bad exit going right there. Polo can just drive by. Oh, and we have also a fight for P3 between Lucas Vollering and Thorsten Leber. Sally couldn't see everything of it. Oh, and Polo again in a collision, this time with Gaspar Miss. And again, both spinning their cars around. Polo rating probably. So now Ivan Lukic back into 5th, but Polo really having a hard time keeping a car under control, it seems like. But yeah, thing is we still have over 1 hour to go. Now down the inside into 6. Forced somewhat, but this time fine. Being given. And in front before the corkscrew. Just noticed the race distance isn't quite what we wanted to have. There's a mistake on the server side. Masterlöcken still trying to find a way past the Honda Civic of Kuba Trick. Just dives too far, and Mateusz Friedrich can unlap himself on Masterlöcken here. And yeah, McLaren being that good is mainly because of the BOP, I think. The problem with the McLaren is that that there's not much data because it's very underused. There's not much usage of the car, and a setup really makes a lot of difference in this car. It's kind of hard to BOP then. That's maybe why. It's a bit unfortunate because I think all the other cars are pretty well balanced so far. I'm tossing by having a look down the inside but deciding not to dive it there. I think now things have calmed down. Oh! And right, as I said, Mateusz Friedrich hits the rear of Kuba Schurig. Not much he could have done there. I don't know if Mateusz Friedrich could have done much, because it was just with Colin Blankenburg and Masterlöcken in the mix. So definitely, yeah, definitely tricky situation there. But as I said, we will look at everything post race. And yeah, it's apparently set to 90 minutes, not 90 laps. To be fair, as I said, it's the first time for a long time. Obviously it shouldn't happen, but can't change it now. 90 minutes is still a very decent race distance in race 1, I think. So. And with the action we see at the moment, I don't think it makes much of a difference, to be honest. It's a lot of stuff that happens. And obviously the two DNFs we have are because of internet issues. Because otherwise, these two cars, now they are standing in the pits, but not like if they left. And Dick Pfeiffer seems to recover from the spin. Now less than a second behind Dave Siska. Oh, and Lucas following going wide, and that opens the door for Thorsten Leber, who immediately takes the position up into third. So fast it can go. Just a bit wide, and then the sand just drags you in at this track, especially because the turns are mostly cambered outward. Or not cambered outward, but they go away from you. Like, they have a turn post the turn, and both going past the Civic of Kuba there. But yeah, most turns just continue for a longer time, even though with low angle. So once you hit the gravel, you basically go more straight and can't go back on the track that easily. But Dick Pfeiffer now in proximity of Dave Siska. Tries to go wide to get a 1 out of turn 9 now. Couldn't quite do it. Having a look down the inside. Still not close enough. I think the one waiting for the one in turn 1 should be the best option here. They have Marvin Mackenberg, the leading TCR, in front of them. Might help Dave Siska with some slipstream. Even though Dick Pfeiffer had the way more stable car out of that last turn. Oh, Dave Siska defending there. Wasn't a late move though. Oh, and there's a little collision, but no biggie. No problem there for both drivers. Can continue. And Masterlöcken still behind Dominik Siska. Now Thorsten Leber right behind them. Oh, Marcel makes gives place on the right. Just a little bit of waits to clear the TCR. Oh, and Master looking way wide there. Happens easily in that last 100. Thorsten immer noch pretty much clear of Lukas following for now. Oh, and they're still really putting up a good defense from Dirk Pfeiffer there. But now this time Asus got committing to the inside. Sam Nackenberg now also very close to Frank von Ohren again. I think, as said, this battle will drag on for quite some time. Sam Nackenberg having the look around the outside this time. Breaks later, has a strong braking force there. Couldn't quite make it, but now has a bit of a run on Frank von Ohren into turn 3. It's always fascinating to see how close the TCR cars can follow. I think like that. But Dirk Pfeiffer still having a look, but he just can't find his way past Dave Siska. Even though he is faster now, made a mistake out of corkscrew. But getting close is one thing, getting past is another. Let's look at some rows you haven't seen for quite some time now. Marco Chadron quietly driving in his 4th place for the whole race, basically. Same as with Lewis McLeod. Still in 5th. It says he loses 3 positions from the start, but that's not true. It's probably because it doesn't take into account the multi-class, I presume. I think he also started 5th in class. So held his position so far. And now build up a gap of 6 seconds to Jack Wilson. They were pretty close to each other beginning of the race. So that's interesting between the 3 of them. And TCR strategy has come down to 1. Was that... I thought that was mine, some connection, but it seems to have not been. Paul Olo and Ivan Lukic this time. 2 Ferraris. On the outside, brakes very late. Can he make it stick around the outside, or can he do the switchback? When Lukac gives him place. This time, clean move by Olo and very fair play by Ivan Lukic. Pfeiffer not quite close enough. But they are both closing in on the TCR pack in front again. Oh, and we have something happen. Something did light up as an incident, I just couldn't see what. And Ivan Lukic, in all that mess, just got past Paolo again. Completely missed that. But apparently Paolo got held up in the traffic there. That's how fast things can go in the TCR multiclass, G3 TCR multiclass. Because obviously all the TCRs are driving their own race. And the ruling in KCG is the TCRs don't have to move out of the way. And somebody just came into the pits. Let's try and find who it is. Can't really see it right now. Maybe, yeah. It's Kuba in the Civic. First of the TCRs to, I think, regularly pitch. Deck 5 again, very close to Dave Ziska. Oh, and that's Josh Friedrich in the wall, probably hit the inside curb again. Dave going a bit wide again. Dick just looking for every opportunity, but there just is nothing opening up for him to slip through. There he goes a bit wide, can easily happen in turn 9. Because of that cam on the inside, but it's early, so you have to dive into it, and if you are in it from the beginning, you just slide upwards. Oh, and Ivan Lukic probably just going past on the straight already. So still have quite some fights going on. Oh, and Dave Ziska spinning out. Seems like they had contact. Says they were in a collision. Ah, hard to tell. But I said previously, we will take a look at everything post-race. It's very weird. I wouldn't suspect now that I wouldn't suspect that what did I say? Dick Pfeiffer DNF'd, he retired the car. It's a bit of a bummer, but whatever happened there, we will see after the race. I guess that's Motor Friedrich, yeah. That sausage cut can be at least very dangerous. I think that's also the biggest challenge of Laguna Seca, actually not the corkscrew, but this. But Sven Magmark and Frank Van Oor are really going for it this race. They found each other and Marcel Löcken still so close, but now there's Ziska and I think that's Yuval. Yeah, indeed, that's Yuval. So we've got a double lapping. Yuval lapping Dave Ziska and Dave Ziska lapping the two TCRs. But Josh Friedrich now back on the road, driving. Oh, and Frank Van Oor going wide there. Having to go over the one of tarmac. Now can this open up any opportunity for Sven Mackenberg? Oh, and Frank von Ohren into the pits. It kind of blocked off Sven Mackenberg, who tried to move around the outside. He didn't expect that. It's a bit of a miscommunication, because Frank von Ohren did commit to the outside. Oh, but now, this time, Ziska defending from Master Löcken. Master Löcken trying to angle around the outside. Lots of racing space given. Now Colin Blankenburg blasts around on the inside now. Now does he back out of it? Again, having the better line. Can he make use of it? They have the TCR von Friedrich behind. Locking up the fronts a bit. Couldn't quite make it there. So Frank von Ohren now driving again. Albrecht also on the pits. And Shadron went off there. Now does he have suspension damage? That might be a big thing for him. He had such a good race so far. Yeah, suspended in front left. Let's see about the steering. So he probably hit the curb as well. Gasman is now having to take evasive action. That wasn't Marco's fault, but that's a bummer for Mark Shadron, who drove such a good race. Now means Lewis McLeod, actually currently in third position, obviously with Frank von Ohren in the pits. But Lewis McLeod on the road to a 4th place finish, as it stands at the moment. Albrecht coming out right behind him. Oh, and something happened. Albrecht was in a collision, but war collision. Oh good, not another driver lost control. That's a bummer out of the pits, but it happens more easy out of the pits because you have different conditions in the tires, let's say. Car is suddenly very different to drive for a moment. Colder tires, more fuel, and all of that stuff. So unfortunately, because of the faulty race distance, we don't have the big strategy game in the TCR category. And sorry for the inconveniences. As I said, it's just like first time in a long time. Bit of miscommunication between me and Captain Coffee as well. Oh, probably in the second. Oh, and Colin Blankenburg, big drift through the corkscrew there. And I think this would be a good situation to try a rejoin. So I will activate the track map once again. And just try to rejoin the server. Because I don't want to always have that damage. I will get the replay from someone else anyway. Because mine is unusable. It's always a bit of a bummer with this internet. You know, it's like... it really limits you in some cases. Or do we have a faulty setting? Might just be that it's wrongly displayed. I have to check. So I'll soon reveal the game again. but there's still stuff loading in, which doesn't look too good. Not much happening on screen anyway, just, well, what the not much happening, and then it's this 3-way down the road. So indeed it is. Okay, I'm sorry. It is set to the right amount, it's set to 90 laps. It's just the problem that the overlay shows it as 130. We had some issues with it every time, but in this case it's because of the new overlay. I think they messed that up a bit. So it's 58 laps left, and we had 90 laps. That's 130, if you know what I mean. So actually, this is the display that's wrong. You will see once Hero Rosen crosses the 9 next time that it will go to 57. Maybe we gotta report that, because I'm to improve one. But now that the race distance is correct again, you know, somebody went a bit right there, that was Albrecht. We can talk about strategy, which I'm very excited about. So it's a long day and stuff. And commentating for this long alone, there you can see 57 left. It's really quite exhausting. So I hope it won't get too boring over time. But now talking about strategy, the TCRs. With the GT3s, it's pretty straightforward. It's 2 1-hour stints, with some fuel saving in some cars, some not. And I think we will see some differences between the cars there. But in the TCRs, it's whole so fuel isn't a problem in the TCR. They can do 110 laps or something on 2 fuel loads. So even for our friend Frank von Roon, some might remember the first season, but should be easy on fuel. But Frank von Roon pitted early, and that has the reason that these cars can have 1 or 2 stops depending on how you drive them. Because the tires can barely do 1 stoppers, but obviously the pace will suffer a lot in those long stints, especially near the end. Front wheel drive cars, the fronts are basically dying, and you only need to change fronts, I guess. But he should have a way greater pace than the Magdeburgs, and he's currently on a 31.6. Meanwhile, Sven and Marvin Magdeburg are driving 32.27 and 32.68. So, yeah, Frank von Roon basically is a lot faster at the moment, but he has to make up for that 1 stop he did. Now that 1 stop cost him, I think, 50 seconds or something. And you can take a look at the absolute standings. I can't really, because it's just covered in laps. So let's re-enable it. But just trying to calculate it roundabout. So he's 1 minute and 5 or something behind. So I guess the pit stop overall cost him 70 seconds or something. Pit lane is quite long. Even though pit entry and exit don't lose you too much time. It's Gaspar misdiving it down the inside there. But if you roughly estimate 1 second a lap, that you are quicker from the lap you pitted on, which was something around lap 25, and this gap increases the next few laps because the Magdeburg brothers tires won't getting better. Frank von Roon's will also decrease in performance, but they have not fallen off the cliff so far. So basically he should improve quite a bit on that more, and maybe he also already packed fuel, so that won't lose him the time on the next pit stop. But that could be very interesting how this plays out. I might suspect they are very close, but Frank von Roon will be behind Sven Magdeburg. He will be the one who's catching up. Unless there's something crazy happening to Sven, which I don't suspect right now. And also Sven has fought a lot with Frank von Owen. I'm sure he didn't really know which strategy they both are. He just reacted strategy-wise to Frank, what he did then. Yeah, it's and Paul Olowu had to stop his car. Not sure what happened to him. Just said that it ended premature. I mean, maybe we don't know, but anyway, unfortunate. Also apologize to David for his move on him. Fair game. I mean, we'll look at what we do it afterward, but for DNF, obviously, you can penalize it. Which would be quite stupid anyway. But let's get back. I think that's Magdeburg lapping Siska. I mean, TCR to TCR is a bit difficult. But he does it. Magdeburg so far in complete control of the TCR class. 10th overall. And I'm very surprised by some of the drivers so far. Obviously, Yuval Rose and Colin Blankenburg, you'd kind of expect them where they are now. But Thorsten Leber in a very strong P3 fighting with Lukas Walling, who's also a very, very good driver. Very surprised. Like, he was always a pretty good driver. Just lacked a bit of pace in there, but in the Porsche, I mean, it's Porsche against Porsche, so it's a fair battle anyway. But this seems to really fit him very much. So yeah, great race by him so far, sliding it through the turn as we speak. And Ivan Lukic in P5, also a very good race. Had some, yeah, basically got held up with the fights with Paul Olowu and Swamis and stuff. But still in P5 at the moment. Very decent result if it says like this. For newcomer in GT3. Gaspar Miss also very solid race in P6, dropped a position, but still 53 laps to go. And yeah, also Dave Siska. We've talked about it in the battle he had with Dick Pfeiffer. Also a very good performance by him. I mean, also, if you look at the ratings and stuff, rating isn't everything, but usually gives you an indication of where a driver stands performance-wise, but performance doesn't have to do with clean driving. No pressure, Berliner. I'm sorry if I gave you the commentator's curse. Fortunate that you couldn't finish, but next time. And in the TCR category, we still have Lewis McLeod in third. And probably will fall down to fourth after Frank von Roon takes his. When Lewis McLeod takes his stop, and Frank von Roon will probably go past. Unless the strategy just doesn't end up working at all. And Thorsten Leber into the pits. One of the first leading GT3s to come into the pits. Very interesting to see where he comes out. Even though everything is quite spread at the moment, so shouldn't be too much of a problem. And it's Markus Chadron, apparently. Lost control, it says. And we could just driving into the yellow. It's normal then. Jack Wilson. Oh, and Jack Wilson has a disconnect as well. So the car isn't there for anyone else, so Ivan Lukic just didn't yeet into the car. So he must have a disconnect or some sort. So this car you see right there, this isn't really there. But unfortunate for him, because he also had a very good race until that point in 6th. Meanwhile, Frank von Horn overtaking Dominic Siska in that very turn. And good to read that you are happy to race with us. We're also happy to have had you, even though he had some shenanigans. But yeah, happy to welcome you back for the next race. Thorsten Lever now coming out. Comes out right behind the TCRs of Magdenberg and Friedrich. Maybe can get in front of Friedrich. Indeed he can. But he is right behind Meisman. Now, Lever seems to be a bit faster than Meisman. But let's see how this plays out for him. If he can get by fast, this shouldn't be a big problem for him. If you should be stuck behind him, this might be the opportunity for Vollering to perform an overcut. And if you look at this now, he was pretty much directly in front of Vollering. And he is now on 1 minute behind. Oh, and does he get by immediately? Yeah, Weissman also not putting up much of a fight, which is the better decision for him as well, I think, because he would just hold himself up in pursuit of Gaspar Nis. They both have, or at least Thorsten Lever now has quite a clean road in front of him. So for 5 DNFs, 4 of them I think internet related. Thorsten Lever dives it down instead of Marcel, who luckily sees the charging Porsche. Let's keep a look on the lap times. Although Lucas Vollering is now into the pits, so that will be very interesting. They both probably do one stop. 50 laps is 1 hour 15. I think they will do a splash and dash if Lucas doesn't do it now. Unfortunately, we don't have a track map anymore because it was too bugged out, so they removed it. So now through turn 9. And Lucas Vollering now rolling again. Thorsten Lever now into turn 11. It's a long pit exit for Vollering still. Lever out of the last turn, now charging. Vollering now crossing the pit exit line, and that's Lever back into now P5, but realistically P3. Vollering has a bit of a shorter line now, so he will close in a bit, but not much. Now will Vollering come out in front of Meisman? That will be the important thing, and indeed he does. Marcel now into the pits. Yes, well. So that was very crucial for Vollering to not get stuck behind Meisman as well. We are approaching halfway mark as well. So also let's see next lap that Frank von Roon does. As well as Sven Engberg maybe, because his last one was invalid. However, the gap between the two of them is now 1 minute and 1, so he made up another few seconds in the last couple of laps. It's always very interesting, I think, to see so different strategies. I mean, of course, on-track fights, that's close like in the beginning would be also interesting. But I think it just would be good mix Friedrich giving way to Frank van Rohe nicely. And that was Albrecht being lapped, so going over the gravel for a short moment there. Great looking car in my opinion. I always loved the, I say it's very well given place there. I always loved the Mamba Mercedes. They used with 48. I mean, obviously 48, my number as well. But it's great to see this livery that I love on the car that I love. And good to see Albrecht drive it. Even though he has the typical Audi struggles with it. Can't drive an Audi without losing the rear a couple of times in the race. Mino Gasper Miss now in the pits. Let's see where he comes out. Should be, I think, 10 seconds or something behind Colin, even though they're already passed. Not sure what happened there. So Thorsten Lever's last lap time at 24.6, following 24.8. The top guys, Yuval Rosen 25.9, Blankenburg 26.2, Ivan Lukic 27.9. So big differences there, but also because of the fuel loads tires. Obviously, Vollering and Lever both on very, very fresh tires. Gasper Miss now driving again. So now it's about the long run pace, the endurance. The opening action took way more time than I anticipated, to be honest. I think it was great to see all that action, but now it's just about having a good run to the end stint. And Cooper going a bit wide there. I think we will still see quite a lot of position changes, mistakes that will happen, pace drop-offs, pace gains, also always a thing. Yuval Rosen's last lap time at 24.6 again. I mean, that also always has to do with traffic, of course. Oh, and something happened. Thorsten Leber. Oh, it's Thorsten Leber in the corkscrew stationary. It's just lost control, so it wasn't any collision. Oh, and that's a very unfortunate stop to be... very unfortunate spot to be stationary. Albrecht going around the outside. Because now his rear axle is in the air and his diff isn't locked enough. Slowly but surely, maybe. Otherwise he has to go backwards. Oh, and Siska... Oh... In some way, Dottirito, not much he could have done except for rolling back again. Ah, that is Thorsten Lever's race gone. I think. Yes, Siska did a great job there at avoiding Thorsten Lever. Wasn't ideal, but to be honest, did try to not do anything. But that is super unfortunate for him. Cost him 30 seconds or something. Oh, and Lewis McLeod having a little tangle with Mark Shadowman. Shadowman obviously being a lap down to Lewis McLeod. Even though I don't know, I think Shadow might have gone past Lewis there. Especially looking at the pace of Shadon. Benjamin Albrecht in the pits, Montosh Friedrich in the pits. And Jakes Wilson's had a power outage. Oh, that's very, very annoying. And I mean, I know with internet outages, but the whole power outage is always very unfortunate. I remember Georg Ordner having a power outage in North America when we had the combination P2 and GTR3. Lewis McLeod now into the pits, that will be interesting. Frank will surely go past him, but what about Siska? So we had this LMP2 and GTR3 race. I was in GT3, even though I was in the split below. But Georg Ordner drove the DMD P21, I think it was. If I can recall that correctly. And basically everyone, because it got a 50 kilogram BOP, and 50 kilograms is a lot, but everyone complained that the car got completely crushed and is not good anymore, even though it was completely overpowered at that time. And he just jumped in to prove that the car is well balanced now, and he did. He even did run like top 2 or top 3 positions. And Lewis McLeod now driving again. Siska won't get in front of him. Ivan Lukic into the pits now. Means following back into V3. Meismann now also comes into the pits. But he was in a very, very good position, to say the least. And then he had a complete power outage. And that obviously pretty much upset him. Little bang on the door, nothing problematic between Lever and Siska there. Oh, and Siska bottoming out on that curb, losing the rear in the BMW. Could have ended badly, but luckily I think good. I think now soon the two Maggenbergs, Albrecht into the pits, two Maggenbergs should come in for their pit stop, I think. Or maybe he will try to drag out the one stop he does very far. Maybe Frankfurt could still be on one stop or just pit it early. That might also be a thing. It's Ivan Lukic going past. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, Frank van Loon is one lap behind Marvin at the moment. Oh, Marvin going very right there. So this isn't for position what we see here. But this means he did catch up to him. Because he was way more than... Yeah, I've read in the Discord. Very unfortunate for you, had a very decent race until that point. And yeah, power outages, it's like internet outages, it's just something you can't control, which is very bad. And obviously very upsetting for good reasons. I hope you will come back for the next one though. Hope you enjoyed racing with us. And hopefully next time without a power outage. let's go on board with Frank Moon for a bit. I mean, maybe I'd say Frank von might have a bit of the same mentality that I have while driving. Well, not in all parts, but like in terms of when to pace. And if you have your let's say goal in touch with a car in front that you can follow and that you can chase, sometimes you get very can get much more precise, I'd say. I mean, maybe it's not the case at all. It's just like how I felt when racing with him on the same track. And also it's the Audi gang. Not to forget that, even though it was a Cooper, but Cooper and Audi are that close to each other. Unfortunately, we didn't see a Audi RS3 on the grid, but I mean, even the BOP we gave it really doesn't make the car viable. Because to make it viable, you would have to nerf all the other TCRs so bad. It's incredible. Oh, and in the meantime, I just saw I completely missed that. Duval was in the pits and Colin Blankenburg is now in the pits. I was only mal putting a lap on Dave Ziska. And nothing last one, he will probably take back first position by climbing out. I think that's Ziska in the pits, yeah it is. Through this very tight turn. And Colin still stationary. Won't be enough for following, I guess. Now rolling again though. For Ziska it will be quite interesting where he comes out. Toshiba, even though he had that spin, still in fourth now. Even though the gap to following is pretty good, pretty gay. Can't speak anymore. Pretty big now, but at least kept his position, and he should be able to do one stopper. I think they went in that early. Marcel finally passed Dominic Ziska, even though Ziska is still shorter line now. So maybe, but Marcel just has too much pace around the outside there. So Marcel now after a lot of time in front of the pink Civic. And Marvin Mackenberg is in the pits, now driving again, and Frank van Roon as well. So they're both pitted. So now in the lead of the TCR class. It's Lewis McGlade right behind him, even though let down. But that's interesting that Frank van Roon came in the same time. Maybe it's just precision dash, but the distance is the same between the two of them. So I'm not sure what this is really about, to be honest. Sven Mackenberg says the pit. Maybe Marvin but I can't imagine that he just refueled and tries to go for it. It's very interesting. You don't have to change tires in this race. It's open pit stop strategy. So let's see, but I think Marvin and Frank both changed front tires. I'd have guessed Frank would be could be long on those tires. Sven into the pits, but it won't be enough for Frank van Roon because he is one lap down. He will unlap himself, of course, but well, Mackenberg now taking back the lead. like, it's just a distant thought. Even though, well, plus 24 seconds, it's not enough, but could this bring Lewis McLeod into some sort of contention? If if Frank Van Oren should do a mistake, which I'm not thinking right now because in TCR he's very decent, very, very decent. And he's not driving an Audi i8, which is like death, especially back then. But if something were to happen, it could bring Lewis McLeod into contention for a podium. Because he, I guess, still has to do a stop. I don't think his tires will last for that long. But is this guy? Yeah, it's this guy in the pits. Not sure why. Steering wheel is straight. I don't know. This could be interesting. Chevron got past Kuba, I think. And I also need to double check something real quick. So because like the overlay shows Vollering is gaining 10 positions, he started 6th, Toshiba started 4th. Still very good for Vollering. Or maybe he started out 5th, but I can't imagine that. I think it just messed up after rejoining. Because it also says Frank Van Oren who qualified third, plus 6 positions. Maybe it counts in the DNFs or something, I don't know. Master Lücken currently running in 5th as well. Probably has to do a stop as well, but now Yuval Rosen going past. It's a bit sad that we only have one livery for the McLaren. It's a bit hard to distinguish drivers if they have the same livery. Oh, Colin Blancmo, big drift there. Feels like he's desperate to close in on Yuval Rosen. Well, his setup is just that much off the edge because he's like drifting through every turn. Might be a good show for Gaspar Miss. He's right behind, even though not in position. Not going a bit wide as well. Really using every edge of this track. So currently there are no people really close to each other. The closest fight we have is Kuba Trick, 4 seconds behind Marcus Chardon, even though Marcus Chardon has overtaken this program. And why does I say this? Benjamin Albrich lost control. It's turn 2 under a hairpin. Oh, and he probably just wanted to give away as much as possible, but... And Yuval Rosen posted a new fastest lap of 1:23.454. Not bad. Not bad at all. Actually, Gaspar Miss and Ivan Lukic 2 seconds apart from each other with Dave Ziska in between. Oh, and there's a lot of traffic now into turn 2. Lewis McLeod being overtaken with Ziska. The other Z Challenger Civic of Ziska going a bit wide there. Now Gaspar Miss going past Ziska. We have Ziska and Ziska. Just noticed how close these names are. Now both past Lewis McLeod. And now trying to get past the TCR driving Ziska. With a Y instead of an I. Oh, a little collision there between the both Ziskas, apparently. Didn't show, but see afterwards. And Albrecht back in the pits. Still a bit buggy to get back into the normal cameras in this broadcast UI. Oh, and we have... Oh! Kovac drive-through penalty. And then off the track, probably engine damage 100% for what it seems like. Because he hit the wall straight on, which is in a TCR basically race then. Done, not then. Oh, unfortunate for him. He was on a good run. Currently everyone is just minding their own business, just lapping at their own pace, trying not to get into each other's way, I think. And it will just really play out once we have the last pit stops. I'm not sure about Vollering and Leber, whether they pit again. Could be, could be not. Two-stopper might still be viable as we have a bit more than 2 hours to go in this race, like not from now on, but in overall length. Same for Lewis McLeod. I don't know whether he... I think he has to do one more pit stop. Frankfurt is also closing in. But still on a good way to a P4 finish. Oh, and Lucas following. Big slide, couldn't quite catch it, but at least kept it out of the wall. Could recover. So just lost 4 to 5 seconds. Nothing major. gain Thorsten Lever 5 seconds to go down to 25 seconds, 26 seconds with a gap. Oh, and Gaspar Miss now less than 1 second behind Ivan Lukic. So we have a fight coming up. Ferrari against the Porsche. And it's Porsche, not Porsche. That's important. Gaspar seems to be good chunk faster than Ferrari at the moment. This is 4P5. Can also see how different it already is between a mid-engine Ferrari and pre-engine Porsche. Even though they are more similar to each other, but if you compare the lines to front-end BMW and Mercedes, that's where the real differences are. And just seeing Discord even shows that you're streaming on YouTube. That's nice. Didn't always do that. I can see how much camber there is on the entrance and mid of turn 9. Also the nice letters there with corkscrew. I love them. Oh, Extreme is a bit wide. Couldn't accelerate as early as he wanted to. I think the bit of problem that Gaspar encountered, and it's something lighted up. Because following was stationary. It was another 4 seconds. Not sure what it is with him right now. Maybe the rears of the car have gone down too much, which is very deadly in the Porsche. And it does work those rear tires a lot. Distance between Lewis McLeod and 500 has come down to 13 seconds. So on pace, Fernand should be able to close in on McLeod. But this all depends on what happens to McLeod's tires, what happens to Fernand's tires, and whether McLeod has a pit or not. It's a bit hard to tell at the moment. I think yes, but oh, and Ivan Lukic getting held up by Sven Markenberg there a bit. Nothing Sven did wrong there, but just completely wrong timing for Ivan Lukic. Because Gaspar Miss now on the straight can basically just bail out of the slipstream and go past on the inside. Didn't cost him too much though overall. And Gaston is going right there over the tarmac. Not a big problem, but lost some time. Threw him off for the next corner 7. Somebody came into the pits through C1. Just can't see it right now. It's a bit. Usually it showed. Was Marcus Shadron in the window? Is doing a quiet race since his tank with the barriers or curb. Don't know for sure. Oh, Ivan looks going a bit wide. Gaston is sticking to the outside. Can brake a bit later. The Porsche has very strong brakes too. So Gaspar is very cautious driver. Unless it's behind me in a Daytona. No, just kidding, of course. But very cautious, so we won't do just launch it anywhere, I think. This time also with a much cleaner one. Super cool. See slowdown still here and there, but that's no big problem. I mean, obviously, if you ramp up too much, you'll have slowdown. You are either not able to surf, or which will cost you seconds of time. Oh, and Marcus Chadron received a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I mean, not that it changed much for his result right now, but still, not something you want. Especially on Laguna Seca, where it's quite hard to receive one because of that pit entry. It's going a bit right there. Mark Chadron received another drive-through for speeding in the pit lane. Maybe he releases the pit limiter too early. Not sure. Seems a bit odd. I can't recall any time Chadron got a drive-through penalty from my own memory so far. Why is it? Oh, we shall see. But Gaspar is now close to striking range. Now will he be able to do something? Or will he wait another lap? See, does he dive into the pits again? Yeah, he does. Pit line is this one. Let's follow him through the pits this time. I think he deactivated the pit limiter too early, to be honest. Gaspar now again lost a bit of time, not close enough. I think Gaspar really needs to wait for a mistake by Ivan Lukic or some traffic to hold up Ivan Lukic and allow him to get closed or even pass. One of those two things. There are some TCRs coming up. Oh, and that's Matosh Friedrich in the wall. Really has a hard time with that curb, but he's still in for the VIP gold. Not to forget that. Oh, they're both closing in on Frank van Oon, who's only 3 seconds behind Lewis McLeod at this point. So I'm sure he will go by in the next few laps. Somebody went into pits. Can't see who. Na, Matosh Friedrich. Yeah, of course, with that damage. It's slide from Gaspamis at the exit on the curbs. Ah no, this is unlucky for Gaspamis. He will get held up in TCR traffic. Wasn't too bad, I guess. TCR are still quite fast with those turns. Can take a look at absolute standings again to see. So currently we have 5 cars on the lead lap, I think. Six cars, sorry. Obviously. So you are Rosen, Colin Blankenburg, of course. Lukas Wollering in P3 still, Thorsten Leber still 20 to 25 seconds, fluctuating a bit behind Wollering, but also on the lead lap. And Ivan Lukic and Gaspar is also both on the lead lap. And they are still quite far in front of Hugo Rosen. For such a short track, that's pretty good. And now Frank van Oon is within 1 second of Lewis McLeod. I don't think Lewis McLeod will really defend this one. I think he knows who Frank van Oon is. Commentated on him quite a few times. Oh, but also now Gaspar trying an attack on Lukic. Try to keep an eye on both. To the outside. Doesn't brake too late to not hit Lukic and focuses on the exit. I'm having a look. Friedrich driving again. Oh, and Wollering spun into 9. Hopefully it didn't hit it with the rear too much. Now Lewis to the inside. Doesn't give up without a fight. Ziska from back now, charging. Parking it on the exit. And Ziska patiently waiting as you should, to be honest. So very well driven by him as well. Now going past Frank van Oon and now past Lewis McLeod. Gaspar now into the corkscrew. There's no place for that mate. Ivan Lukic defending to the inside. Parking it. And now Frank van Oon is alongside for the left-hander. McLeod leaves space, but Frank van Oon with the better grip of the tires. There's wave threshold tires. Down the inside. Good move, good driving by both of them. And that's Frank from back into P3. With 20 laps to go. So probably 18 to 19 for the TCRs. And we also reached 100 views on the stream, so thank you for that. It's very cool. Gasfam is now really trying to find anyway, now looking down the inside into 5. And this time he easily does it. Now can he keep it in front? I'm sure he can. Has good enough of a run there. So Gaspar is into P5. Master Luck meanwhile also acquired P5. Also moved his way up from the back of the grid. Siska in P6, and we have Shadowrun also in 9. It's not a good spot to be stationary in, but as you can see, everyone really respecting the yellow flags, slowing down. We really have the yellow flag rule for a reason there. Because it prevents unnecessary wrecks. So you should slow down, and you are not allowed to overtake. If you overtake, you should give back the position. Because sometimes you just can't avoid it. Because yellow flags sometimes show up very late. No. This McLeod right back at it. Because Vollering now passing, costing him a bit of a shot. Boxed in by the 2 TCRs now. That just happens. Oh, and Lewis McLeod having the look now. Oh, heavy hit on the curbs. Now is the steering bent. It seems to be quite straight. That could have ended way worse. An F in the chat for the Renault. Yeah. It's not Marco's race, I think. I feel like. But what I can already take from this race is that it's great to have it back, to have KCG back. I will definitely look into continuing it. I said the next event's already planned and all that stuff. Oh, and not even look at having a look on Gaspar Miss again. So he has not given up on that P5. But yeah, I think it turned out better than I expected. I think not everything is obviously smooth. It's first time in a long time, and we also picked 2 very filled up classes, which is hard to be maybe a bit too hard for a few persons. But yeah, obviously the BOP isn't perfect. I think it is decent for Moscow's, but obviously the McLaren does have has an upper ledge. I don't think it's purely the McLaren that Colin and Yuval are up there with those gaps, because they are also 2 of the best drivers in the grid, on the GT3 grid. Obviously, who knows what if Marvin Mackenberg, Frank van Roon, Sven Mackenberg, all those guys raced in GT3 as well. But yeah, the McLaren seems to be very strong, no denying that. And obviously custom BOP should prevent such thing from happening. And we will take that into account. The next one should be easier with the GT4s. Even though the GT4s don't need much of a BOP anyway, I think. Especially because they got reworked now. Obviously stuff like this should not happen in ways. But apart from that, I think it's great. We have so great competition, so much respect. We had some incidents, of course. Some collisions, with including Dirk Pfeiffer, Paul Olaru, you name it. Like, people who usually don't do this kind of mistake. But this just happens because the stakes were very high. Even though we don't have high prices, still you race at a very high level. High level of racing. Like, this isn't all esports, and that's what is great about this race, I think. Because we don't just have esport people or just rookies. We have a good mix of people. We have esport people, we have rookies, we have some casuals, we have some people who are very fast. And I think that mix works really well in KCG. So I'm pretty happy with it. We've seen great fights across GT3 and TCR, a lot of respect. And now, while talking, Ivan Lukic is going back at Gaspar Miss around the outside. A little bit of contact. No, oh, and Gaspar Miss lost the car on the acceleration. There was a little touch with Ivan Lukic, nothing both did wrong there. It was just door rubbing, that's not a big thing. But that was enough to unsettle the front axle of the Porsche, and then you try to catch it, and then the rear axle suddenly gets momentum and it just spins you around. Same as with the R8 or 488, for example. But that's very unfortunate for Gaspar, as it had a good race. And with another yellow flag somewhere. I think it was HAVIT, right? Judging by speed. But I don't know. It wasn't yellow from Gaspar because that was long gone. Maybe we'll show what happened there. But anyway, it's just great to have this variety of people, but at the same time having the respect between every driver and every car on the track. Over 2 hours of racing, you can't have a 2-hour race without any incidents or any sort of contact. And obviously, it's not the best, but it can happen. I think everyone here knows that it can happen. It's not like anyone was like reckless or something. So that really shows me that there is the place for this league, and that really drives me to continue it now. Because the end result, even though the organization made some mistake, worked out brilliantly. So anyway, now back to racing. Thorsten Leber is closing in on Gaspar Miss after his mistake. So maybe Thorsten Leber can get back P5 at least. GT4 now should be appeared. That might be a good sign for that as well. Problem is we can't really take leaderboards because leaderboards have outdated times. And it's hard to gather data by a few drivers doing laps, so maybe we won't touch the BOP for this one, because Praga obviously doesn't need a BOP, it's a single car class, but for the other ones, I don't know, we shall see, there's still some time to go. I will announce the race as soon as I have the details finished, which will hopefully be next week. So yeah, should be everything I could say about the next event. Also, I want to keep it a bit more basic if possible with the stuff around the races, because I want to have the races in the focus and not too much. Like, I probably won't do an after movie of this race specifically, even though it definitely would deserve one. But that would probably just burn me out after time, and yeah, I don't want that to happen. I want KCG to still feel great, and we have something. I can't tell you what, but something like that. Sometimes a bit hard when something lights up, but you don't know why. And Thorsten Eberno within a second of Gaspar missed. So he catches up very rapidly. Oh, and Gaspar is again overshooting corkscrew. Gives Thorsten Eberno a good one. And just, yeah, not much Gaspar could have done there anyway. So Thorsten Leber up into 5th. So what will be interesting, we have 10 laps to go, or 11. That's roughly 15 minutes of driving. I feel like Lewis McGlade is gonna stay out now. Don't think he will pit. And even so, Marcelong is 60 seconds down. Don't think it would be enough for him. Ivar Rosen and Colin Blankenburg are pretty much set, I think. Because following also 55 seconds to Ivan Lukic. It's a long way down the road. As long as obviously they don't completely blow up their suspension or something. And Ivan Lukic has 5 seconds to Thorsten Eber. That might be possible for the German to close up. Why does my internet have to go on strike now, like close before the end? So, Thorsten Leber in a good way to close the main volume. His last lap, 24.4. Ivan Lukic 27.4, but he also had a lot of traffic as far as I've seen. But Thorsten Leber is faster. So it could be a P4 for him, which is where he left off. Or he could have had that P4, but P3, but mistake cost him too much. Was stuck behind 2 TCRs, Lewis McGlade and Marcus Shadron. Patiently waits. Kinda evens out the playing field. Because I think Lukic also had the traffic at that spot. So my internet really doesn't want me to just be able to enjoy the last few minutes. I hope it doesn't crash completely now. Now that I said it, probably will. But yeah, I think not much will change. No, I think I will try a quick reconnect to the server. So let me just do this. Because obviously we want the finishing cars to arrive in pristine condition. Completely forgot that word. I also hope for the next race I will have someone to accompany me in the commentator booth, because doing it all alone is it's kind of tough. Fortunately, Dennis couldn't because of his jaw. So, everything should be completely back to normal. And it's Toshiba 3 seconds only. So he really is on a fire pace. Now behind Frank van Roon. But I think it's great to see more Porsches with that BOP. Not gonna lie, it's such a vital car to GT3. But because of the BOP and rank, it's barely usable, fortunately. But it's also a very rewarding car, I'd say. Oh, and something happened. Lucas following lost control. Okay, not that it can change much, but it's still interesting. 7 laps to go. Yeah, 53 seconds, that's a bit too much to ask for. So, if you like what you're seeing and you want to join the action and haven't yet, you can scan this QR code in the bottom right of your screen and join KCG, or click the link down below in the description. We do everything via Discord, so it should be pretty easy access for everyone. And yeah, because yeah, it's a virus you download from Discord. But yeah, lots of great people. Even if you just need some advice or something, there are a lot of people who want to help you out. But it's only 1.6 seconds from Toshiba Lukic, and we have still 7 laps to go for these two. Where's your Rose? Oh, Wesley now in the last one. I think it's too much of a gap for them to be lapped, but who knows? And something had happened. Lewis McLeod had a little moment because he was off the track. Some support for Ivan Lukic in the chat as well. But I think maybe 2 or 3 laps and then Toshiba is in striking distance. But then getting past, and Ivan Lukic did some great defending. Toshiba did some great offensive move as well. So that might be very interesting between the two of them. For the TCRs, not much is going to change anymore. The gaps are just too big. The smallest gap we have is 24 seconds. Lewis McLeod to Frank van Roon. Blues McLeod can't find enough pace to close in on Frank von Roon that much. Six-tenth. Well, maybe less than 2 or 3 laps to get in striking distance. This looks like it's gonna be next level when he's in striking distance. I think Toshiba also pitted before leakage, if I remember correctly. I think Wallering and Leopard both didn't come to pit once more. So it's even more astonishing that they have this pace late in the race. But now in slipstream of the car guy Ferrari. Around the outside, tries hang around. I mean, the Porsche can do something like this because it has strong enough braking. Wasn't quite enough this time. Now with the better exit, does Ivan Lukic defend? Doesn't quite. Toshiba dives it down the inside. Now can he keep it to the exit? Can he go to get an exit? He does. Good V-shaped line for the German. And it's P4 for Toshiba again. Also didn't lose both too much time. I don't think Ivan Lukic would have defended that too hard as well. Therefore Toshiba was just too fast. It's the wrong Porsche. Had roughly 5 seconds between Miss and Rosen, but I don't think Rosen is 1 second a lap faster than Miss. That is what I'm looking for. I'm still not 100% sure what Frank von Roon tried with his strategy, to be honest. I mean, he will surely tell us in the KCG chat what his plan was, but can't quite figure it out, to be honest. Because with the early first pit, maybe he also picked damage because of that, but who knows. I thought he was gonna two-stop it, which he did. Sorry. But he stopped with the Mackenbergs at the same time, and then his advantage basically was gone of having fresher tires in the end of the race. Also, I think it won't be enough for Gaspar Miss to close in on Ivan Lukic. Maybe he will get that by Ivan Rosen, though. I mean, in his position, I think I'd even get myself lapped, to be honest. Just for that safer 1 lap less finish. Even though for the... It depends on the race situation to who it is. As Yuval Rosen now is on to his last lap. Now can he lap Gaspar Miss or can he not? We'll see. Let me just check. Will be... He had a win in season 3, but it will be his first major win. And Gaspar Miss moves out of the way there. Or not, because Joran didn't want to go. Lewis McLeod right behind. Through turn 10. And now through 11. Close between the two of them. And Gaspar Miss stays in front. But Yuval Rosen takes the checkered flag and wins the Laguna Seca 200. Congratulations to him. Great effort, no mistakes always. They can run to cross the line. Lewis McLeod, very deserved 4th finish, great run. And Marvin Mackenberg also crossed the line. Congratulations on winning the TCR class. Also, same as Yuval, no mistakes always. Great performance. Colin Blankenburg to a solid P2. Oh, and Lucas following there. Congratulations to P3. It was an enormous fight with Thorsten Leber. But in the end, the white and purple Porsche beat the green one. And Thorsten Leber either seems to have had a big off. Because this guy... Oh! And there's contact between Ivan Lukic, and Ivan Lukic retakes P4. What the race? I think he must have lost it in like turn 6 or something, but Ivan Lukic got past, and now Ivan Lukic takes P4 from Thorsten Leber, takes back what he lost in the before. Gaspar Miss comes home in P6, the last one on the lead lap. So congratulations to Yuval Rosen, Colin Blankenburg and Lucas Wallering for the podium in GT3, and Marvin Mackenberg, Sven Mackenberg and Frank van Roon for the podium in the TCR class. But also great result for Lukic, Leber, Miss, and also congratulations for finishing Meismann, Ziska and Albrecht. Ziska also a very good performance across the race. Lewis McLeod finishing in 4th, Marcel Löcken finishing in P5 after also a very strong performance. Ziska coming in P6. Sharon after a disappointing race, I'd say. 7:30 with this, lots of problems, but he still finished in P8, and then our DNFs, mostly because of power or internet issues. Kuturi, Wilson, and the rest. I can. But what a race it was. It's, yeah. Marvin says it's probably not as exciting, but very special. I can imagine that was a very narrow track. The next one will be a lot wider, so. It has been very exciting. It was very cool to be back now. And yeah, I don't have much to add from what I said during the stream. I had lots of fun commentating on it. Hopefully next time, not alone though. And yeah, it's been a bigger success than I'd have anticipated. Both classes were very much filled up with great names, and I very much hope for most of them to come back to Silverstone in about 2 months. I don't have a date, but I will move the day, so it won't be Thursday this time. So hopefully more people can join, and it will be easier for people to join. But yeah, it's been great to have this racing, and thanks for everyone to join. Thanks for everyone who watched on the stream. And I'd say see you on next time. If you don't want to miss on any news, click the link down below to the KCG Discord, so you won't miss anything that will happen. We will go through the incidents of the race the next couple of days, and we will post the official results in the results channel afterwards. So yeah, see you all around next time. Until then, goodbye.